Hey there, TJO. It's Michael. Just wanted to pause up the video and give a quick intro here. This is a quick video of a PvP match that I played today. It's supposed to go in conjunction with the guide that I am currently creating. I know I said I've been creating it for a while, but a lot of these concepts will be discussed in the actual guide, so I recommend you reading that so that this isn't just super confusing. But I mean, this really isn't anything really in-depth or super high level. I mean, anybody that's looking to be a little bit better of a Jedi Guardian tank in PvP should be able to get a couple things out of this. So let's just go ahead and get started. Again, we are going to be taking a look at a quick game. This is kind of the very end of it. Frankly, I forgot to start recording until the very end, but just some things to take a look at. Generally, you'll notice I'll be kind of banging on the keys before the global cooldown is done. Maybe that's not something I should have recorded. Hashmal's text there, but anyway, just some general concepts. I do have, if you're not familiar with this kind of big thing up here in the top center, it's a focus target. I like to put it on a healer or somebody else highly relevant, so that I can kind of keep a better eye on them outside of the ops frame. So you see me there kind of switching a guard to that person, which is a healer, as they are going to be taking a little bit of damage here at the pylon. I don't know if, I can't remember in this game whether or not we end up taking this pylon back or not, but it's only about a minute or so to do it. We are we're down about 200 points, so, yeah, and you can see there at the bottom, as the skills start to become available, they are being pressed generally before they're ready. That's just to eliminate any sort of delay in actually casting the ability, as there are some that can glitch a little bit right before the GCD. And I have my hotkeys really all centered around the alphanumeric pad on the far right. Well, I guess not alphanumeric, it's the keypad off to the far right. If you got one on your computer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then some basically looks like a calculator, right? I don't really use the mouse very often whatsoever when I'm Guardian tanking. On some of the other classes I will, especially like my Commando healer, but really this one, I've got all the hotkeys really where I have both of my hands on the keyboard at pretty much all times. And I find it works a lot easier. If anything, if you're kind of a clicky person, you click all your skills, I'd really recommend that you try and get some keybinds in, at least for, I mean, at a very bare minimum, at least your interrupt, force kick. Speaking of interrupts, you'll see me use those liberally throughout, because at a macro level, the most important things we can do is take care of our healers and disrupt the other healers. So, or disrupt the highest dealing damage DPS if you can find it. Really, the way we're going to be doing that is liberal amounts of force kick, force stasis, hilt strike, force push, really anything else you can think of to have them focus on you instead of focus on healing their allies. And when you find that DPS who's beating on your healer a little bit, push them away, stun them, taunt them, throw a guards on there, on the healer I should say, and you'll find a lot of things. Now a lot of that's not necessarily going to show up in the leaderboard, but it certainly can change the tide of the battle, so you're never going to be at the top on damage, and actually a lot of times you may not even be on the top on protection, but still can make a huge contribution. That's a quick ability you see there. That's a Blade Barricade brought on from using Blade Storm. Key ability, as it's actually a scalar based on your bonus healing, believe it or not. The game considers that a heal. That kind of little bubble that spreads around you. You want to have that up as often as possible. If you're able to hit Riposte and Guardian Slash, they do have a buff to defense, which is great. However, those are based on, that's a decaying amount of time where the Blade Shield, Blade Barricade I should say, will go away after a certain amount of damage has been absorbed, so that's why you want to keep that on a higher priority. And obviously, just using a single taunt there. Not really a lot of people here in the mid at the moment, so this would probably be an okay time to use the AoE taunt. A change from 2.0 was getting the ability to give everybody a little mini version of that bubble egg just referenced Blade Barricade whenever you use the AoE taunt. So again, looks like there we've identified a healer, and primarily, see there's a nice interrupt there, so primarily what we're trying to do is stop this healer right here from healing anybody else and do a little bit of damage so they have to expend at least a couple heals on themselves and just really be annoying. Ideally, I'll throw a mark on this person and hopefully the DPS, the DPS will hopefully come and get it. I have two marks hotkeyed, above the target and the flame. Try and switch those around, and just an easy thing to have hotkeyed. Running around with no lightsaber apparently, but anyway. And as that comes back, that forced leap, don't forget that also has an interrupt factor as well. And use dispatch as often as possible when it's available. You should see it from time to time, but the Guardian Leap, if you get 2 pieces of Vindicator PvP set armorings, you will get the 2-piece set bonus, which will provide a healing effect whenever you Guardian Leap. So, very helpful thing, and in addition to the healing it provides you, you will also see that it provides a nice little damage reduction on the recipient of that leap. You just saw me swap that guard there again. I've got that hotkey to my middle mouse button, so an easy, quick click can swap guards. So, kind of by default, leave it on your healer. But if your healer's really not taking any damage, sometimes they're not. If you can, try and switch it to a DPS who is taking damage. So be a little bit like a healer and look at that ops frame on the far left and see who's taking a lot of damage. If they're melted, throw a guard on them. It's really just kind of getting in the melee here. We're still losing, but looks like both pylons are held pretty well. The commando healer buddy that I've got, he's who's now the recipient of that Guardian Leap. So in addition to Guardian Leaping on him, make sure there's a guard on him. You also want to try to annoy the people who are attacking them, so use any sort of stuns you have, or at a minimum, damage them. Looks like we do a quick little force stasis on that. And often seen, if you've got a force push ready to go, easy to push some people out into the kind of expanding ring of depth here. You can see that commando, he really doesn't have a lot of ammo at the very top. I don't know if that's poor ammo management or he's just trying to stay alive or a little bit of both. But when you notice that kind of low ammo or really low focus or what have you, try and pay them a little extra attention as they're probably up shit creek with a little bit out of a boat. So.
One pylon in enemy hands.
So we're able to come back a little bit. Again, liberal use of those stuns. Interrupt as much as you can. Kind of the continuing theme throughout these battles is to stay active. Make sure you're always doing something. I know it sounds simplistic, but sometimes it can just be a little hectic and you're not really sure what to do. Just always do something. Whether that's swapping your guard, whether that's throwing a taunt down, they should rarely be on cooldown. As I say that, right now they're on cooldown, but there's really nobody around. So looks like I'm going to go grab our pylon, so that quick talk there. I have a hotkey for auto run, so that I can hit that and then type something really quick without really having to worry too much that I'm going to stop moving.
Pylon secure.
And again, any sort of communication you can provide relative to your teammates. If you're not really sure what to say, then probably not probably not a great idea to start throwing out things. Just generally somebody. Well, that's a pretty key. That's a pretty key moment right there. Let's go ahead and back that up. That guy's grabbing a grabbing an orb, and keep in mind on how close of a game this is. Don't ever forget that all the points that I give are really tangential to the fact that completing the objective is first and foremost most important. Having a little old-fashioned there. But so Zedium here, it looks like I've missed being able to interrupt. That's still on the GCD here, and they're going to get the orbs before then. But see how close of a game is. It's very, very close right now, so that could make the difference. So always try and be annoying to those people who have orbs. So a quick little push. That looks simplistic, but there's only about 40 seconds left in the match. So depending on really what's going on, it looks like there is a teammate of ours over at that pylon of theirs. So that they may not be able to even drop that orb. Could make a huge difference. AoE taunt drop there, and really just go back in and join the fray. Again, you're really not, you can't have the mindset of a DPS where you're really trying to burn people down as much as possible. You are really just damaging people in order to annoy them. I know it sounds really not very heroic in PvP, but when they are being berated by another player, i.e. you, that is going to disrupt their focus. It's not PvE where we can just taunt somebody and all of a sudden they'll only attack us exclusively. You got to do something to make those other players really focus on you, which is really one of your key roles as a tank in a PvP settings. So grab that pylon, or excuse me, grab that orb. There really wasn't enough time to do anything with it. So just kind of hop in and do some damage as you can. Probably would have been a good time to, stun that healer. And looks like that's pretty much the end of the round. Not a great round statistically. Kind of low protection, but if you look at the opposite team, really not a ton of damage being thrown around there. A lot of healing though. So when you've got that's one thing I guess take with a grain of salt if you don't have a huge protection number. But there's not really a lot of damage being thrown out on the other side, then you're really not going to have big protection. So 223 is very okay. It's the kind of protection numbers you should expect every game is kind of a minimum-ish. I really assume that you've either done something not quite so right, or you've been guarding a node for a long time. If your protection is below about 100, 150,000, 175,000, something like that, your damage should be at least 2s and 3s. Gear-wise, I'm really not well geared on Michael at all. It is mostly partisan pieces. I do have an Broen armor, as you can see there, as well as some Conqueror. I have a headpiece and some of the peripheral pieces like relics, that type of thing. So hopefully this was beneficial. I'll go ahead and get this up as quick as I can, and hopefully this is out in time to go with the guide as well. Again, never going to assert that the way that I do it is absolutely the best way to do it, as it certainly is not, but just some tips and tricks that I have picked up in playing as a Jedi Guardian tank. Leave any sort of comments or questions in this thread, and if you have any more kind of in-depth question, ask me in-game, or feel free to shoot me a message. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.